did was,
Welcome, everybody. We're back from executive session, and at this time, I would accept a motion to adjourn from executive session. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned from executive session. Next on the agenda is a presentation from Echo Hills Golf Course. Patrick Kirkland, the manager.
Hello,
Hello.
my name is Patrick Kirkland. I'm the general manager at Echo Hills Golf Club. I started in June last year and relieved Bob Geppert of his duties. And we've been making some good changes this year. I just wanted to kind of go over what we did last year and then what we're looking to do going forward. Click here. All right, just my introduction. I'm from Sydney, Ohio. I currently live in New Bremen, Ohio. This is my wife, Danielle, and our 4 children, Carmela, Claire, Lily, and Kendall. After my wife graduated from Rhodes in Lima, we moved to Orlando in 2009, and I attended the Golf Academy of America and had my degree in golf operations and management. After my completion of that, I worked for Arnold Palmer at Bay Hill Club and Lodge, and that was a pretty special experience. I worked there for 4 years, kind of moving up through the ranks there. When I left there, I was an assistant professional there. We moved to Tampa to pursue an opportunity my wife had, and so I did some teaching with the First Tee in Clearwater, and then also managed my local golf shop at Dick's Sporting Goods. So last year was a transitional year for us from going into our agreement with Hampton Golf. We did $563,000 as our top line revenue number at 18,652 rounds played. And when I tell people that we did almost 19,000 rounds with 36 golf carts, they can't believe it. How did you do that? It was through a lot of hard work and determination, a lot of strategy using the tee sheet, but we were able to get it done. So that was a struggle for us. We had 36 golf carts. The batteries were aging. So this off season, we purchased 14 used golf carts. All of those carts required new batteries as a typical used cart would. So we've purchased over 170 batteries. That's what I did all winter long. Everybody wonders what's the golf pro do in Ohio? You work on carts and get ready for the next year. But what that's going to allow us to do this year is no more block tee times. Last year, because of only having 36 golf carts, we had to block a lot of tee times, which significantly reduced the amount of potential rounds played and revenue that the course could generate. So now with up to having 50 carts and with all having good batteries, our carts can continue to go around the course from open to close. So no more block tee times. That's the goal for this year. And so, we've already booked a few larger outings, and I'm excited for this year. My personal goal is 30,000 rounds played this year. Wow. But we'll see how we do. But that is my personal goal. Just with the number of outings that we have booked, we got an early start. The weather's been good this year. We opened the course on February 13th. Last year, the course wasn't open until second, third week of April, so we're already ahead of pace. We have a pretty exciting calendar of events scheduled for this year, and I thought it was important to get this out well in advance. So I worked on this in November, and we had this out on our website and on our social media by the end of December. And not that people book their vacations around the golf course, but the guys want to know, what events are going to be happening so they can maybe make some plans around it. So we have a really exciting schedule of events. It's been posted on our website, social media channels, and I had a really good meeting today with the ladies. We're going to be creating a new ladies league that's going to be on Wednesday night. be the opposite side of the men's league. And again, because we have more carts now, we can do this. We wouldn't been able to do that because we probably would have put ourselves in a bad situation not having enough carts last year. So the marketing will be coming out for that pretty soon, but we're gonna have a new ladies league on Wednesday nights, starting at 5:30. So we're excited about that. Yeah, so please check out our website and check out our calendar, schedule of events. Memberships. Last year we had a total of 92 memberships sold. And what we wanted to do this year was to start to create some added value to them. In the past, it's always been the more you play, the more you save. That's fine. That's the basis of any annual pass or membership, but we could do better. So what we created was members have, both full and partial members have 14-day access to the online tee sheet, whereas non-members have 7-day access to the tee sheet. And what that allows the members to do is to plan ahead and to get their tee times scheduled. That way they have their times that they want to play their matches with their friends. They can get that on the calendar. Our members also have access to member-only events, which is like a traditional golf course, like a club championship. We have a members-only shamble, which is in place to encourage more membership purchases. We have an end-of-year par 3 tournament where we're going to make every hole a par 3. That'll be in November. And we're going to have 2 Glow Golf events this year. One will be open to the members, and that's really just for me and my comfort level, so I can understand what works and what doesn't. And then the second one in September will be open to everyone. There is a limit of 36 participants for that event, but that's going to be an exciting event. Also, for our full members, they receive 10% off all of our merchandise. Their GIN handicap is provided, and they have access to the Hampton Golf Reciprocal Program. As of this PowerPoint, we had 76 memberships sold. I checked it today before I came here. We're at 85.
Wow.
So we're already well ahead of pace. We're going to have a great year, and that's because the value added is it's a no-brainer for folks to get their membership out there. So we're excited for this year. A little bit about our Hampton Golf Reciprocal Program. Our full members have access to the Reciprocal Program where they can play any of the blue tee courses for $49 and any of the white tee courses like Pipestone and Miamisburg, and obviously Echo Hills would be considered a white tee course. That would be $29. So it's a great program, especially if they do some traveling. Here's just a little update of our merchandising. We have some demo clubs now. We have some apparel with the new Echo Hills logo on it, which is a very modern, fresh logo. The shirts feel amazing. They feel like a pillowcase, so I encourage you to come out and try them out. We have a ladies line and a junior line. They're in the works and should be here shortly. So what's next? We need more food options. The biggest complaint about from golfers about Echo Hills is we don't have a kitchen. We don't have food options. We have roller dogs, as the guys like to call it. We have chips and snacks, but we don't have a fresh selection of food. We don't have a kitchen. So we have to get creative on what we offer. Last year we had the pre-made wraps, which were fine, but I think we can still do better. I'm in the works. I'm in conversations I already had the Miami County Health Department out. They looked at the plan. They approved it. We're looking to put in a conveyor pizza oven, and that will then offers obviously pizzas, pretzels. We can have some more food options. We still have to have some work done with an electrician to get the line ran, but so that's in the process. I hope by the end of this month we'll have some more food options available at Echo Hills. And a golf simulator I think is important so we can stay open all year long. So I currently have one quote. I'm working to get in a couple more quotes. That's going to be something we'll have to talk more about. But that's the trend. That's what all golf courses are doing. If we get more food options, we have a simulator. We can stay open all winter long, continue to sell food and drinks. I think it'd be good for the community. And then what I'm continuing to monitor is course conditions. Obviously, we've had a lot of rain. We've been cart path only, which is frustrating for golfers, but we have to do it in order so we have a nice golf course next month when it dries up. The drainage on the front nine remains an issue. It is better, but it's still an issue. So we'll have to continue to talk about some proactive measures there. Our cart paths are severely weathered, so I think we're going to talk more about that. I think we have a 3-year plan for that. And our perimeter fence is deteriorating as well. So we're going to have to work on that together. Other than that, I think that's it. I just want to share that with everyone. If you haven't been out to Echo Hills, you have to stop out sometime.
Thank you for your presentation. I think it's going to be well received by our new golfers, and I love the idea that we're going to have a kid camp of sorts, and everybody can get involved. And you do rent clubs, is that correct?
Yeah, we have demo sets out there. They are available for rent, either on an individual basis or on a full set.
Right, okay.
Pizza oven's a great idea.
I think so too.
Yeah, who doesn't love pizza, right?
Right.
Are there any comments or questions for Patrick? All right, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We will be moving on to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes from the March 21st, 2023 regular city commission meeting. Resolution R53-23, a resolution appointing a member to the Golf Advisory Board. Resolution 54-23, a resolution appointing a member to the Utility Board. Resolution R58-23, a resolution appointing a member to the Park Board.
Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's been approved. I would like to say that Ron Pearson Jr. has been appointed to the Golf Advisory Board. It's a 4-year term. I'm going to butcher this next name. It's Raul Saktariath for a 4-year term to the Utility Board, and Thomas Collins, a 5-year term to the Park Board. I want to congratulate them and thank them for their time and dedication to serving on these boards. Moving on to old business, we have ordinance number O-1-23, third reading.
This is an ordinance establishing the manner in which ordinances may be available for public inspection.
Good evening, Commissioners. If you'll recall, this is our third reading, so we've discussed this issue and the need to publish our ordinances and resolutions after they're passed in a timely manner, and we are asking to do that on the City of Piqua website. Due to the lack of a local circulation of a newspaper on a daily basis, that is cutting down on our ability to get that information out in a timely manner. We already publish on the city's website and have for quite some time, so we feel it's appropriate to utilize that as our standard method.
Right. Any commission comments or questions? None? Any comments or questions from our citizens? Okay, hearing none. I move to adopt ordinance number O-1-23.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Grissom,
Aye.
Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
Mayor Pearson,
Aye.
Commissioner Vetter.
Aye.
All right. Ordinance has been adopted. Ordinance number O-2-23, second reading.
An ordinance to repeal Title
15.
not 11, land use of the Code of Ordinances and adopt Title 11 Development Code in association with the Code Pickwa project.
This is the second reading. Good evening, Commissioners. We've discussed this one in the past as well several times. We've had a multi-year effort to take our existing land use chapter that's in our Code of Ordinances and modernize it, replace it with a form-based code, unified code that combines our zoning code, our subdivision code, our floodplain regulations, our historic district standards into one unified code that's got pictures, that has standards that meet the goals of our comprehensive plan. I am happy to go into any kind of details. I just wanted to remind the public the order of operations with adopting a new code. We've had the Planning Commission recommendation on March 14th. On March 21st, we had the first reading. It's April 4th. This is the second reading. April 18th will be the City Commission's third reading and the vote on this subject. April 19th, if the ordinance passes, the Development Department will accept applications for review to follow this new development code if chosen by the applicant. They can also still, for that first month, apply under the existing code. Once we hit May 18th, we can issue zoning permits under the new code, and then at that time, the option to follow the old code would not be available any longer. I also wanted to just briefly address that within this code, there's a section in the use article that has a list of prohibited uses within the code. Right now, within that section, we still have a prohibition on medical marijuana cultivators and processors, so I haven't changed that, and if that's something that the commission would like to see changed during this vote, that's something we could do. I've also spoken, of course, to Mr. Mike Sherry and Mr. Blackshire, who spoke last time. I'm looking for direction on whether the commission would like to see something on quarries in that prohibited use list, which I've been given direction from the law director that it's okay to put that on that list, and it's something that local jurisdictions can do.
Yes.
Like
Yes?
quarries to go under that list.
Okay.
Yes.
Agree.
All right.
Yep.
We can make that change.
Unanimous. Okay. Are there any questions or comments concerning this ordinance? Or citizens have questions or comments? Okay. We will move it to the April 18th City Commission third reading. Ordinance number O-3-23, second reading.
An ordinance to adopt revisions to Chapter 90, animals to permit backyard chickens.
Again, this is the second reading. So at the last meeting, I went over pretty closely what all of the standards and rules are for chickens should the backyard chickens ordinance pass. I'm just going to touch on this is an ordinance to propose that residences who live on lots under 5 acres are able to keep up to 6 chickens in a coop and an attached run, no roosters, and then there's a ton of standards that come along with it, and the public should be aware that the Development Department would administer zoning permits for coops should this pass. Last time, the commission had asked for a list. I'm not going to be able to produce a really good subdivision map that shows all of these restrictions, but the list is here. I'll read through this, since this is new information, but this is a list of subdivisions that do restrict livestock and poultry, and those are in the restrictive covenants of those subdivisions. When they get subdivided out into lots and sold, there's these restrictions that get attached to those things. The city doesn't enforce those things, but HOAs can and neighbors can. So that's something to be aware of. And what we would provide, should this pass, is a reference to this map. So you could look up your subdivision and see if there's this restrictive covenant, and it's kind of at your own risk to go forward. You're going to be surprised some of these are not that familiar sounding. So the Echo Hills subdivision, the Fairmont Plat, Candlewood Hills, that's pretty familiar, Park Ridge, Lakewood, Sunset Acres, Peters subdivision, and these are all with restrictions, Sunset Gardens, Margene Manor, Meadowlawn subdivision, Bel Air Park Plat, Hopewood Estates, Black subdivision, Eagles Nest, Lake Ridge, Deerfield, Indian Ridge, Ken Ridge, Hill Creek, and Landon Park. And I think the obvious next question is what could possibly be left after all that? There's actually, it's basically a 50-50 split on residential lots on what would be restricted and what could have them. And the quick and dirty is to look at whether or not you have an alley in the back of your property. If you do, you're probably able to have chickens, and if you don't, you probably are not able to. That's just because around 1960, that's how subdivisions started to redevelop. So the High Street Hill area, Park Avenue Hill area, the North Parks neighborhood, which is everything above Park, in the triangle near Fountain Park, the neighborhoods surrounding French Oil and French Park, and to the east of College, Caldwell, Boone Street neighborhood area, the historic East Piqua, the Shawnee neighborhood, and the Southview Favorite Hill School area and near Covington Avenue. All of those would probably not have deed restrictions for livestock.
Southview, wow.
Where does a person go to find out which area they might be in?
The project is to work on a GIS map, so you could just type in your address and pull up all this information. There are more deed restrictions out there than just on this livestock. Plus, it'd be nice if people could know where their utility easements are and anything else that they wanted to know about their plats. But if you wanted to look this up now, you can go to Miami County's tax map page, you got to kind of narrow down, figure out where your location is, whether it's northeast Piqua, northwest Piqua, or so on, and then you find your specific tax map. On your tax map, it will list which record book your plat is in, so good luck. It's all like that. Or you can actually do a records request with Miami County, the Miami County Recorder, and they will probably assist you in finding that.
Thanks. I was just wondering, I'm getting a lot of comments, obviously, with it being a topic. Are a lot of people that are claiming they don't want chickens in some of the subdivisions that already don't have it, are the ones that are reaching out to me that said they do want them, are they already in those areas? I don't know. I was just kind of curious if it's that way, or if it's flip-flop and, people that don't want them are in areas that would potentially have them.
Gotcha.
There's no real easy way for me to kind of see that, at least right now.
Yeah, hard to say. I think I've heard most from people who live in the North Parks area where you and I both live, and then Shawnee, and those places would not have restrictions. And more fear comes from the places that already restricts those things, whether or not they have an active HOA to take their complaint to, or would have to go and enforce it themselves, which I think is, for most people, a heavy lift to be doing all on their own. So I can recognize that for sure.
I hear mostly from the people that want it are in those areas that can have it. People that don't want it are in the areas that probably can't have it or have the restricted covenants. So I don't think it would apply to them. The key to this, and the reason this was brought up, is to give people the ability to do it if they are allowed to do it. People came and asked. I felt it was a need that the people who want it should have the right to do it. And, it may not be good for me, and I can have it, but if somebody else wants it, I think they should have the opportunity to do it. So that's why it was brought up.
And I have exactly the opposite response. Serving the First Ward, Shawnee neighborhood, and Southview, I've talked to over 50 people who have either contacted me through email, through mail, or personal interview, and I've only had 2 that are in favor, and over 50 that have voiced their disapproval of the idea. So it'll come up for a vote.
The one comment I wanted to make was I did see on TV, somebody had sent me a screenshot it looked like it was already approved, so I had people reaching out like, is this already going? And I said, no, we're only on the first reading. It still hasn't even came to a vote. So I just want to make that out there that people are aware. So in case you're in your neighborhoods and people are, saying, hey, we can do this, please,
Don't, yes.
try to let them know that it hasn't came to fruition yet, so.
Right. Okay, are there any citizen comments regarding this ordinance?
We got one, couple, yeah, come.
Gary Koenig, 5 Peregrine Place. I'm only going to address the covenants. This is a civil action, so as a citizen, if my neighbor had spent $4,000 or $5,000 on a nice chicken coop or whatever, and the surrounding privacy fence and all this other stuff, then I would be able to sue him to have it removed. Now, that's going to cost me a couple grand, maybe $5,000, but it's going to cost him a lot more. So I just want to be on the record that this is not, and I believe we can still, if odors, an issue, go to the Miami County Public Health. If issues with other issues related to noise or whatever, will go to the Department of Development. But we also have an option spending money to, also, they would have to spend money to defend themselves, I believe. Okay, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
It's small
you.
claims court, though, is a lot less than the thousands that you allege. It's like $35 for a civil action. Small claims court, it's like $35 to $50 filing fee, and that's about it. So,
Do you have to have an attorney?
no, you can file it yourself.
Okay. Very good. I would look forward to it.
Tom Homan, 1803 Nicollet Avenue. I'm sure if this does pass, no one's looking forward to that first test case of litigation. I would hope, though, maybe, and maybe this is just a little too hopeful, maybe this will encourage people to get to know their neighbors a little bit more, maybe consult with their neighbors before they make any big decisions about their property, and maybe that's maybe not something that you guys can legislate, but something you guys can provide to the community and people in your ward, just to encourage them to discuss with their neighbors before jumping in any kind of legal action or major changes to their property. So, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you.
Hi, I'm Pam Hawes, and I live at 307 Cleveland Street, so I am in Shawnee, so apparently maybe I would be allowed to have them. I have talked to my neighbors, and they don't care. They don't care whether I have chickens or not, because I take care of my yard. I took care of it when I had a dog, and and it was a horse. It was a German Shepherd, and I always cleaned up his poop. Even when we lived out in the country, we always did that. You just don't want the poop laying around because it attracts flies.
Yes.
And I just think that we should be allowed to have the chickens, that's all. Especially with the way food prices increased last year. They're expecting them not to go down this year, and they're expecting them, the USDA released it that they expected food prices to increase at least 10% this year, and that's if we can trust the percentages of what they said last year. I know egg prices have gone down this year so far, but they're still, egg prices are still 100% higher than they were last year. The price of eggs doubled last year.
Yep.
They tripled and quadrupled over the winter, which they do go up in the winter. I had chickens before when I lived in the country, and I'd like to be able to have chickens now. I believe people should be responsible for them. And then the other thing I was wondering, it was the 10-foot line from the 10 foot from the property line.
Correct.
Yes.
What if you have an empty lot next to you?
Still applies. If it's, if you don't own the lot in particular, then.
What if the city owns a lot and doesn't do anything with it? They don't even cut the grass.
Still applies. I don't know. I don't know in that case. I mean, yes, it should still apply. You don't know what's going to happen to a lot that happens.
Well, nobody will
it
buy
turns
it.
over.
Well,
Is
if
it a
it's-
residential lot? Like it's carved out to be?
It's, the city's already said one of the adjoining neighbors have to buy the lot. And
It's
you want
like
too much for it. That's the only reason I haven't bought it before. Because I have offered to buy it, but the city.
I'm interested to see if it's on the land reutilization program list.
No, it's a tiny lot, and they don't want it to It's in Shawnee, so there's tiny lots, there's skinny lots. They're
Maybe
skinny
get
and they're
with me
long.
after and we can see if it's on that list, and if not, I can see what's happening with it.
Yeah, because like I said, I offered to buy it before because I wanted to increase and I wanted to put a garage
Yeah.
on it, but the city said they wanted over $7,000 for it, and I said no.
When was that?
3 years ago, when I bought the house 4 years ago.
Gotcha, thank you.
So I just think people should be allowed to have the chickens. I don't have any neighbors behind my house. And I think a lot of people in here would be able to at least put something in there to get a few eggs a day out of it. That's all.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else?
Hello, Commissioners. Paige Steeman, I live out on Madison Avenue. Over the past couple weeks, I wanted to go and do some really deep dive in research, so I made some phone calls to the the Ohio Department of Agriculture. I also talked to some of the people asking if they can come into the city of Piqua and study us, or if they would be able to come in and inspect. And Ohio is a home rule state, which means that the local municipalities are the ones that are responsible for governing their own, so they could not be able to come in and do that. So I also talked to a Dr. Shaw. She is one of the Department of Agricultural highest ups in that area, and I wanted to talk to her about biosecurity and infectious diseases with chickens and stuff like that. I wanted to get a really good, somebody that knew more about it than what I do personally, and she says there had only been even just one case of avian influenza, and she goes, even that one was iffy. She says salmonella, she goes, the only way you would really be able to catch salmonella from chickens is if you are directly handling them and then eating food, or if you're undercooking your eggs. Now, I sent some of you a video of what a chicken's life looks like of the grocery store chickens that you guys are eating. They are housed in the most disgusting, filthy, I mean, it's sickening. I'm not sure how many of you watched the video, but I think for a lot of us, I just got a link that was sent to me that over in Norway, they offered each family 3 chickens, okay? And they were able to save, they said, gave everybody 3 chickens, and they were able to save 100 tons of landfill waste just by feeding the scraps of food to their chickens. So I think we have a really good opportunity. Henry Kissinger once said that whoever controls the food can control the people, and there is a war on our food. I found that out firsthand when I went through breast cancer, and I learned so much about the quality of food. What goes into those chickens, you are consuming. The medications they feed them, you are also eating. So I think a lot of this comes down to not only a basic human right, but the health of ourselves and how to keep everybody else healthy as well, because they're phasing these things out. They're keeping us sick on purpose, so that way they can go to the bank and make more and more money by keeping us sick and unhealthy. And I think a lot of us just want to have the ability to have a healthy lifestyle, both for our birds and for the way that we choose to eat, the way that we grow our food. I think if we spent as much money in a local garden as we did our golf courses, I think we would be in a much better place. So, and some of I'm not sure if you Mr. Vetters had a chance to look at the petition, but there was at least 20 to 30 people that signed that petition that were in your jurisdiction, so I wasn't sure if you was aware of that, but let me see if I have anything else. Yeah, that was salmonella. Yeah, Dr. Shaw was with the Department of Agricultural Sciences in Ohio, so if anyone wants to call and talk to her, she's very nice. She'll handle all the questions that anybody might have. So that's all I have for that.
We
And
appreciate
thank you
your
for listening.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Anybody else? No? Okay. So that was the second reading, and we will have a third reading at the April 18th meeting. Moving on to new business. Resolution number R-55-23.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a lease agreement with the Piqua Youth Soccer Association.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is a lease agreement approval for the soccer fields at Pittsburgher Park. The city has leased these fields and facilities to the Piqua Youth Soccer Association for, I believe it's over 40 years. So this would be a continuation of that agreement for a 3-year term.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any comments or questions concerning the resolution?
Just want to take a second. I'm the Kenny Beal, 9200 North Road. I'm the treasurer and field director for Piqua Youth Soccer. Just wanted to take a second to thank the people that have worked with us the last several years. I think it's been improved. Mr. Brookhart's not here, but he struggled to do what he could do for us with all that was on his plate. So I think doing that, he did a good job. I put down, I'd like to thank whoever made the decision to appoint somebody to have more direct working with Amy and Chris. Has been a plus. And particularly Amy, I really want to point out, I told you this, we took some issues with a few of the wordings in the thing, and she has worked through it to where I think it's at least acceptable. You know, she addressed our biggest concerns, and we do appreciate that as a board. And also Chris has been pretty proactive on calling me, this is getting ready to be done. You know, we're going to help you with this. Today was a good example. He told me we're getting ready to overseed. We pay True Green to fertilize those fields. So right away I got a hold of the guy we deal with, and now we flip-flop the treatments to where he can put starter fertilizer on now instead of later to help the grass that we're going to overseed, and then come back with the pre-emergence and stuff after the grass has had a chance to establish. So that's, and hopefully Chris has got with him and our guy has. They've been communicating, which is good. Communication cures everything, right?
Yeah.
I think that was all. I just wanted to make sure I thanked you. Oh, and I've told Amy, but in front of the commission, that so many times, last year the grass was contract mowed.
Oh.
It looked like a drunk man mowed it. It was horrible.
Believe you.
The two guys from the city that have rolled and aerated those fields this spring, it's fading now with all the rain, but it looked like it was professionally done. I mean, the rows are straight as an arrow. It looked like something you'd see on TV almost, how well that they paid attention to making it look like something. So that's really all I had. We do appreciate the cooperation and hope that we can continue to improve the park.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you very much.
I just want to say thanks for Piqua Youth Soccer. I mean, as a longstanding soccer family, I mean, it's done a lot for our kids, kept me out of trouble, so appreciate everything you guys do. Oh, kind of, but.
Any other comments? Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move the approval of resolution number R-55-23.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution carried. Resolution number R-56-23.
A resolution awarding a contract for the purchase of transformers for the power system.
Thank you, City Commissioners. We've all experienced supply chain constraints over the last several years. It's hard to get things, and if you do get them, they cost a lot more than they used to cost. We've had this concern with a number of the items that we use in day-to-day operations of running the electric utility for the city. And probably none of these is a more critical item than distribution transformers. Transformers are the small green boxes, large green boxes, the little gray cans on top of the poles that provide the voltage that our businesses and our residents need to do what they need to do with their electricity that supplies their homes and businesses. There's basically one steel core manufacturer for transformers in the United States, and there's about 8 suppliers of transformers. And when we put out for bids last year, we found out that pricing was 2 to 3 times what it had been the year before, and deliveries were out in some cases 2 to 3 years. We started exploring some creative options. We ordered some rebuilt transformers, which we hadn't done before, and we used that for a part of our supply. But we were encouraged to, after basically rejecting all those bids because of pricing and delivery, we were encouraged when our longtime transformer supplier, ERMCO, offered us production slots. They had declined to bid because they knew they did not have the capability to respond to all their traditional customers. But they did reach out to customers they've worked with over the years, and we're one of those that probably the vast majority, I would say 75 to 80% in the time that I've been here, we bought through that supplier. They offered us production slots. I came back to commission later in the year, and the legislation was approved, and we ordered those transformers. We're in a similar position this year. The condition, the supply constraint condition hasn't changed, and it's not expected to change for the next year or two. There's a lot of things going on the national front to kind of help improve it, but those are going to be longer-term solutions, I think. ERMCO has offered production slots we think that we're going to be able to take advantage of through one of their distributors. They're not working directly with customers. They're basically providing out through their distributors. And this legislation will give us the opportunity to take advantage of those production slots when they become available. Transformers are a critical component for doing business in terms of running an electric utility for the city. We reviewed this item with the Piqua Energy Board at our last meeting, and they recommended we move forward with this. Be happy to take any questions.
Go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
Go ahead.
Hi. How many were we looking at procuring with that contract?
So the type, size, and quantity is not known. What I'm doing is similar to what I did last year. It's an up to amount of $225,000, which is our budget for transformers this year. So when the slots become available, we'll take a look at our inventory. We'll maximize our order based on that, what's available. So it'll really be limited by the total amount of the order. We've already placed an order through the city manager's approval level of just under $40,000. So we have about $185,000 left on this legislation, should it be approved tonight.
What is our current inventory, and what's our what's our consumption rate on average?
It's a very complicated question. We store lots of different types and sizes and voltages of various kinds of transformers, but it's because of the delivery time, the inventory is adequate to provide what we need to do in terms of serving our customers. I'll tell you that. We're hoping to get through this next 2 to 3 year situation by being able to get these transformers in inventory. So it's not, that doesn't give you the detail you're looking for. I'd be happy to it's a big question.
Yeah, I understand there's different kinds. We're not talking about just one single type.
Yeah, we store three-phase, the large green ones that you see at, say, a Kroger, a big industry. Those are three-phase pad mounts. They could be secondary voltages of 120, 208 volts. They could be 277, 480 volts. And then we have the small transformers you'll see in the subdivision. Those are, again, various sizes from 10 kVA up to 250 kVA. And those secondary voltage of those are typically 120, 240. And then the ones you see on the poles, there's several different secondary voltages there as well. And the sizes of those are anywhere from 10 kV up to probably 167 kV. So there's probably about 15 different sizes of those. So and again, when a new business comes to town or if a transformer fails in the field, you're trying to match what you need without oversizing it. You can't undersize it, because if you put it in undersized, it's going to get overloaded and it's not going to last. So it's a balancing act.
Gotcha. So, but I guess based off what you said, I know it's kind of a complicated calculation, but it sounds like within the next 3 years, without this approval, we'll start having trouble with expanding the grid or maintaining the existing grid if there's, outages or anything like that.
We're already having concerns. Arrowhead subdivision just is going in right now, and we're not putting transformers in service. We're actually putting what we call their boxes that basically are holding the spot for the day that the house is built. So we're not going to in the past, we'd put a transformer there and just wait for the house to be built. We're not doing that anymore because we can't afford to do it because of inventory levels. So we've been doing this for a number of years, is really trying to optimize not only inventory we have at our shop on 201 Hem Avenue, but also what's in the field. We've gone through our system, and if there's a transformer in the field that's under or oversized for what the load it's serving, we'll take the time to go in and swap it out and bring the larger one back into inventory so we can optimize its use. So there's a lot of things like that go on. So they're really critical. They're very expensive. They're getting harder and harder to get. And the last thing you want to have happen is if a new business comes to town or if a transformer fails in the field, you don't have what you need to restore power.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
Great questions.
Okay.
I can't, Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Hi, I have some questions. Sorry about that. What is the level of the deterioration of our transformers right now?
The level of deterioration. So life of a transformer is expected to be 25 to 30 years. So but there's other things that can impact their life. Lightning storm comes through. There's a car hits a pole, the transformer ends up on the ground and smashed, has to be replaced. So, over time, the efficiencies of transformers are reduced, but the actual failure of the transformers is a rarer thing. They do have a life, but it's a long life.
So if anything was to happen, does the city have like a backup plan as far as if we lose power or we can't replace these transformers? Do we have like any type of backup plan or a generator? Because I know I spoke to the one guys that were leasing the solar panel fields, and they said it can power up 20% of the city, but not all of it. So
Yeah, the solar fields are a power supply resource. They're intermittent, so they're not a continuous supply for the city. But in terms of the infrastructure, that's what this is all about: is buying units to have an inventory for new business, for failures in the field. If a storm comes through, we have to replace equipment. So that's why we carry inventory, and that's why I typically come to commission each year to replenish inventory.
Oh, I commend you for that deeply, because I think a lot of us are, our whole infrastructure all the way across America is not very good right now. So, and that's none of, that's all I had. So, thank you.
I'm proud of the infrastructure we have in the electric utility. This commission, our Pickwa Energy Board, has been a great resource, and we've invested in this system, and it's in terms of reliability and performance over the years, we've made a lot of improvements. So,
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd like to commend Ed for that as well, too, because as part of the Energy Board and seeing the work that's been done and maintaining our independence and has really allowed us to respond quickly, to provide great energy. Even our gas turbines is an alternative method that we can use in a state of emergency, but something a lot of cities don't have.
And just a reminder that the Energy Board meeting is open to the public. It's a public meeting, and I think a lot of the specific questions get asked and discussed and resolved at that meeting. So if you're not familiar with that, I guess get on the city's website and come join the meeting. And it's a very informative session.
Yeah, we have a great group of members on the board, and two of the city commissioners sit on the board, and business owners in town, residents, and the board is fully staffed with 12 members right now. And we meet on the last Tuesday of every month if we have business at noon, and it's, as Commissioner Vetter said, it's an open meeting.
Thank you, Ed. I move to adopt resolution number R-56-23.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution carried. Resolution number R-57-23.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with CloudPoint Geospatial for GIS utility migration and data cleanup.
Good evening, Commissioners. Last year, you guys approved the implementation and the stand-up of GIS enterprise environment. So we've got that all worked out, and now our goal is to grow that. And it starts with moving all of the existing data we already have into enterprise. Currently, my biggest user is underground utility. So we got water, wastewater, and storm that exist in GIS already. However, the current layers, the current network that is running those is called geometric network. Excuse me, that is now end of life, and it is not compatible with our brand new enterprise environment. So this resolution allows me to work with CloudPoint to do that migration from geometric network into utility network. It's about a 12-month process, and I will work with them to do that migration.
Okay. So this is just enhancing the new program that we've got.
Yes, definitely, but it is a migration of the existing GIS data that we have to a new utility network. So the tables, the schema, the relationships, the rules that allow us to take a 3D pipeline, underground utility, into a 2D environment. So all the things that run that utility network is what we're migrating to, yes.
Would this resolution help us to start to implement the trash cans and to note where people are leaving them on the street? I understood from Amy that we have some delay in that. Is that part of this? It's not.
No, it's not. That's part of our NISC platform. That's the utility billing platform.
Okay, thank you.
When will, and will this help in that regard too, for the general public to be able to access some of that GIS data?
Absolutely. So once we've moved everything into this utility network and ultimately into the enterprise environment, that really unlocks and lets us leverage all of the capabilities that we already have in this enterprise environment, which is development of maps and applications and all this public-facing things that we want to show, especially in regard to utility. So that's building work orders, that's seeing, where our main breaks are and where we hit maybe a hydrant and replaced it. All of that stuff can be built and leveraged in this enterprise environment once we get the utility data there.
That's what I'm excited about, and for people to be able to see. I haven't seen, that'll be amazing information to have at your fingertips.
Yeah, for sure. We do have some public-facing GIS stuff right now. It's rudimentary at best. As we're building this up, it's just going to get better and better.
Okay, and they can just go to our website, be able to see that?
It's on the homepage of the new Pickwa website. It's I think the first little GIS button, and it opens a new web page, and I think we have 3 public-facing applications available there. So your road closures, development map, and one other, snowplow, so we can see where your snow streets are going to be plowed, what route they're on.
Hopefully we don't have to use that this year, or at least till later in the year. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any further questions? Citizens have any questions?
Thank you.
Do you, once we get this information in there, do you anticipate this being used for companies exploring, coming to Pickwa and being able to see kind of what the ability and the availability is for utilities?
Absolutely. So once, as we're building this up, something that Chris Musing has talked about numerous times is building maps and applications that are available for developers to come in, look at parcels, look at places where we can develop, to see what utilities are available there. So is there already water or sewer available on that lot? Can we grow to it? Can we build to it? So for sure.
Cool. That sounds like it'll make it a lot easier to attract new businesses here.
For sure.
Right. Cool. Any other comments? Okay. Is there a motion?
I'm
Make
making,
a motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution carried. It's time for public comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the City Commission regarding agenda items, issues, or to provide information. Comments are requested to be limited to 5 minutes, and specific questions should be addressed to the city manager's office. Is there public comments? Gary?
Take your turn.
Gary Koenig, 5 Peregrine Place. On 21 March 2023, the city notified the public of 2 wet spots at the base of the hydraulic system and the drawdown from the recreation pool of Echo Lake, Franz, and Swift Run. I went out there, it's drawn down quite a bit. But what's the status of the wet spots? I'm not clear exactly what that is, but I'm wondering what the status is.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so with some heavy rains, they encountered issues with the levee system. And so in order to reduce the probability of failure, they lowered the pool elevation and did some repairs. And so once the director is satisfied that the repairs have cured and that we're not going to risk anything, he'll go ahead and put the gates back up.
Okay. Since we're talking about the hydraulic system, what's the status of the dam project, Franz Pond to Echo Lake to Swift Run Lake?
Over here.
Can we ask questions?
You're good.
Yes.
I just pointed cursing.
Sure. So the last thing that we have done, so we've talked to the public about the whole system, the whole problem, and that we are going to break off Swift Run Lake as step 1. So first step is to get submit a formal request to ODNR, Dam Safety. Can we declassify Swift Run Lake or lower the classification from a Class 1 to a Class 3? That is what we want. So we don't have to meet the 100% mark, we can meet the 25% mark. So what we've been doing, I compiled some, I think, very strong arguments. And then Stantec has a whole addendum of analysis that's been done on the whole system. We've also spoken to Bill Capel. Jeff Lang played liaison, and we got with Bill Capel from the Applied Weather Associates that produced the study that produced the PMP results for Ohio. We're going to speak with Bill and get together with ODNR and talk about some other studies that we might explore. But that's where we're at. We're just focused on Swift Run Lake right now. And because we haven't submitted that, that is sort of in our decision tree, the point that we need to figure out, are we able to get to that Class 3 status? And if we are, that gives you a lot of information about the spending decisions that need to be made for SWIFT, which tells you what do we do next with the rest of our system. And it's a very slow, methodical process. Nothing's happening quickly or without public notice.
So, based on what you just said, the scenario solution hasn't been selected yet.
Not only has it not been selected, we're still at this Swift Run phase. So
Okay.
the really hard problems haven't been opened up for something firm yet.
Okay, so the suggestion I have is that you use life cycle cost analysis to select the least cost option. For example, the present worth of the city's dam insurance of $115,000 a year, 10% inflation over 50 years, which is fairly typical for a civil engineering structure, is nearly $6 million. That should be rolled into all the scenarios other than the modified natural flows scenario. Also, you could look at dredging. There's a whole series of just over the next 50 years of if you maintain a dam. And so I would suggest using life cycle cost analysis. What I only saw in the studies as presented was just first cost, construction costs. And that's really doesn't portray the investment that the city will make. That's all I have. Thank you.
One comment, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but my understanding is that we're not being pressed by a specific date for accomplishment of stage 1, stage 2, and those kinds of things. So we're not feeling the pressure from saying by a certain date you have to have X, Y, Z done, which is helpful to us, I think, to give us plenty of time to analyze and alter plans and those kinds of things.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, life cycle cost as opposed to just first cost.
Here we go. Yeah. Thank you.
Good idea.
I think the only timeline that we are on right now is that we have a grant that has spending requirements toward the end of the year. So we do need to keep working so that we're able to use the resource available to us. But other than that, it's slow and steady.
Anyone else?
Tom Homan, 1803 Nicklin Avenue. Also on the utility board. Would you mind after this if I could get your contact information so I could learn a little bit more about the process you're going through to get that declassification? We were talking about that at the utility board meeting the other day. So if you're working on that, I'd love to hear more about it.
For sure.
So also general reminder to the city, it's getting much nicer out. Very nice. Got to get out on my bike a few times. So just a reminder to everybody driving cars out there. Keep a lookout for all the crosswalks, and everybody out there enjoying the nice weather, keep a lookout for the cars.
What's your bike look like so I can aim for it?
It's silver.
Just kidding.
And I guess also with that is continued encouragement to reconnect us to the larger bike network down in Troy.
Yeah,
It's happening. It's happening.
it's happening, yeah.
It is.
I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have something real quick, so sorry, because I had to follow that. Just representing Bike Piqua tonight, I am an interim president of our fine Bike Piqua establishment. We are having a spring membership drive on 4/20 at 5:30 at Crooked Handle. It's gonna be awesome. We normally just have a speaker, but this year we have a speaker. We have live music, Crooked Handle's hosting. You pay $25, you get your membership. We don't ask for additional time. It's just a membership to be a member. There's some discounts that are involved with that. And we are working on a mural this year, maybe a series of murals. And what you get with that membership is a vote in which mural we're pursuing. So we've got several options, a fun flavor. We've got several different options. And you get to have a vote with that. We'll have several other opportunities to engage and give express yourself, figure out what it is you might want to say to your elected officials, whether you live in Troy or Piqua, because we are the only Bike Miami Valley chapter in the Miami County. And if you'd like to ride to the event, there will be bike parking available.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So just to clarify, so it's an event there, but it's not like a bike where like a loop or anything that you go as a group or anything of that nature?
Not like that, it's more of a party.
Okay, sounds good. I think I'll be there.
Sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Tyler Fonzie, 1803 Nicklin. So as it is starting to hopefully get warm and stay above freezing, I was just curious if the city has any plans for like a date as to when they would fill and start repairing any potholes that might have popped up over the winter, if there's a set time or date that they're aiming for, or if that's just kind of how the weather is.
So I can answer that. The asphalt plant doesn't open until the middle of the month.
Okay.
So they're not generating hot mix, which is a preferable use of material. We have emergency material that's in a bag, and it's called cold mix. It doesn't, it works to eliminate the hazard, but it's not a long-lasting product, so we want to wait until the plant's open.
Okay, so like
Middle of
past
this
middle of
month.
the month?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
a lot of it's dependent on the weather, and, they start up plants at different parts of the month, so we'll have to wait and see.
Awesome, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate that question. I know I was asking some of this similar, because if you live in our area, Ward 4, they're replacing some manholes that, where those places where those will be smoothed out nicer after it's settled, and there's a little bit more appropriateness, like I said, with weather and whatnot too, because I had those same concerns. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Moving on to the city manager's report.
Good evening, Commission. Really, the biggest thing that I have for this evening is to remind everybody to file your taxes by April 18th. This year, we're doing it through RITA, which is an enhancement in the opportunity to use online. They have also the forms and form packets in the finance department, so you can stop in and get a packet or get online, download the forms yourself, or go right to the RITA website and file your taxes online. Things have been going really well this year. This was our kind of interim year to find out how that relationship would work, and so far it's done very well. I know Commissioner, I'm trying to think what we talked about now, I'm sorry.
The online filing?
That's right, yes, thank you.
Online.
And so I know that there have been some issues with trying to get the information in with the allotted time of 5 minutes. But aside from that, if you do have issues filing, please get with the Income Tax Department. Margaret works in there, and she's been doing a wonderful job helping people. One last item as well is to please take advantage of the amnesty that's offered through the Income Tax Department. So if you owe taxes and you're willing to come in and make an arrangement, the fees and penalties will be eliminated from that. So please stop in and make your payment. That's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners' comments? Commissioner Lee?
I have no comments for the night other than,
I hope you feel better.
yes, stay away from me.
Oh.
I have a cold, but I'm not contagious.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Vetter?
I have a couple of comments tonight. Number one, Pickwa's cleanup activity is being planned. I've talked with Amy about it, and second Saturday in May, did I have the right date?
We have two cleanups scheduled with local businesses who are partnering with the Parks Department. Crane Pumps is partnering to do cleanups at Moat Park. They have a week planned in April where they provide their staff that get to spend their workday at the park rather than at work, and they are compensated for that. And then I think it's May 11th, we have the cleanup at Pittsburgher. So we have a bunch of activities planned for that day, painting fences, mulching, a whole list of things that will be happening at Pittsburgher.
So if there are people interested in maybe doing other parks and organizing that, I think that would be appreciated. I think Fountain Park comes to mind, but there are other parks that may need some winter cleanup and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I think it's always helpful to do that before the mowers hit the grass, because sometimes you can have styrofoam in 3 counties for some of that.
Yeah, and I think I failed to mention that is Buckeye Insurance doing the May cleanup at Pittsburgher, and they're providing their staff with the day in the park as well. So we really appreciate the local businesses supporting the parks and providing that volunteer opportunity for their staff.
Oh, good. The other comment I have is that Arbor Day is coming up. I know Bob Grazier from the Tree Committee is working on organizing that. It's later in the month of April, and he shared today that he'll be sending out some new information. So check the website, and if you have the opportunity to participate in Arbor Day, my nicest memory of that was that some young kids get a chance to help dig the hole and plant the tree and do all kinds of things. So it's a fun activity, and if you are free and able to attend, I think Bob would appreciate the support for that.
Thank you. Commissioner Chris?
Like I said, it's getting warm out. I appreciate the comments with trying to avoid Tom on his bicycle, because I think it's spring break too, so watch out for the kids.
I don't drive, I fly.
So definitely be careful. I know the kids are getting out there enjoying the warm weather. We were out yesterday. I think tomorrow's weather's supposed to be bad, so.
Oh, real bad.
Yeah, I know Ed's team's always on standby, make sure that electricity stays on, so we appreciate that. And I just past couple weeks, I wasn't at the last commission meeting. My family had some difficulties, but I just want to say it just really brought back like that sense of community. The neighbors came out, check on you. I mean, those are the reasons why we're part of a community and why it means so much. And I mean, it just feels like family, and you can appreciate that, and that's why I love Piqua. So I just want to say thanks to everyone. So,
Cool, thank you.
that's it.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to the volunteers for our boards. I believe all the positions are full. You can always go to the website and check to make sure that there might be an opening here or there. I also wanted to thank our employees for this great lighting that we have. I feel like we've come out of the dark ages or something. This is great. Also, Dancing with the Stars, which is going to be at, I'm not even sure where, Roman. Yeah. It's this Saturday, April 22nd. It's put on by the Arts Council. Taste of the Arts is coming up May 12th. And our farmers market, keep that in mind, is going to start May 25th. Also sign up for Smart Hub to pay and monitor your utility bills. And that is all I have.
And Gamey, we have one board opening.
Mayor, thank you. Yes, we do actually still have an opening. We're looking for someone interested in being on the Miami County Public Health Board. I'm currently the representative and am looking for someone to take that position.
When do they meet?
They meet on Thursday mornings, the third Thursday of the month at 9 a.m. So it's difficult for someone that works unless they can work that into their schedule.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, all right. So you've been informed. Let's see if it fits your schedule. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. Everybody have a great evening.
Yeah.